and start the recording. Welcome, everybody, to the Tuesday night Mastermind Monster Bash. Today's special guest is the inevitable, the persistent, the Zumba machine, John Maroney. John, take over.
How's everybody doing tonight?
Woo!
Outstanding.
Doing great.
Outstanding.
Can you hear me? Yes.
Good, John.
All right, very good. It sounded weak at first, but then it seemed to pick up. I like the energy. I just got back to this mastery last week. It was my fourth Tony Robbins event. It was very similar to Business Mastery 1. Not a lot of new content, but even if I look at it this way, spent $5,000 on for the tickets, and then with travel expenses, maybe another $2,000–3,000. So I need to get a return on an investment for myself and for the company, not that I had any out-of-pocket expenses. But for me, it's an investment in my future. So it doesn't matter whether I take back something that I already knew or something that I learned for the first time. It's implementation is everything. Execution is everything. They kept saying that at the event. Knowledge is cheap. I mean, you can go to Google and find out about just about anything you want to know. It's what you do with the information, and it's executing it. And I did. There was a lot of time spent where we were actually creating plans for when we got back to the business, which I thought was good. After attending Business Mastery 1, my second Tony Robbins event, my first event other than UPW. But at this event, I thought he could probably cut back a little bit on the material, and just to make it to allow us more time to get with our teams and to create the plans to grow with our business. I think what really separates Tony Robbins from others is the state, the way he delivers the information. It was I don't remember, maybe 6-7 months ago, in one of these calls, Bert actually recommended that I pick up a copy of the book, The Ultimate Sales Machine by Chet Holmes, who used to be Tony Robbins' business partner. So if you haven't read that book, The Ultimate Sales Machine, it is a great read. It's like my sales Bible right now. I have a copy on my desk. I have a copy at work, and I listen to it on my iPhone. And I can't believe how much of the book material that was in the book was covered by Tony at the event. And a little pet peeve for me was he never mentioned Chet Holmes' name, although he did one time said he did get one of the thing, he was doing the chapter on hiring a sales champion, and he did mention that he got it from a friend of his, but he never mentioned Chet Holmes by name. But again, you can read all the books. It's what you do with the books. It's what you do with the knowledge that really counts. It's the execution that you get from the materials, and not so much the materials itself. You guys with me so far?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so he talked about, and a lot of the stuff, you may have heard it before, but 3 things that make you successful is managing your state, managing your story, and managing tragedies. And with the state, he does my priming exercise. I think I threw it up in the chat room the other day. Is there a better place to put that information? I mean, you guys can easily find it on YouTube. You just write Tony Robbins priming, and there's sorts of examples. I had gotten away from priming after Unleash the Power Within to substitute it for my reps I do with my definite major purpose statement and confidence formula. But I believe now it's good to start your day with the priming, and it probably puts you in a more receptive state for them to do your definite major purpose statements and CSM.
No, that's okay.
So it's back on my agenda. I'm recommending it. I'm feeling more energetic when I get up, and just in a more beautiful state when I start my day. So managing your state's important, and then talk about managing your story. I realize how fortunate we are to have this mastermind group that we belong to. Managing your story is controlling your self-limiting beliefs. It's those when Tony talks about story, I equate it with Napoleon Hill. with the limiting beliefs. And so when he's talking about managing your story, I'm thinking of using auto-suggestion, visualization, and strengthening belief. And that's how I manage my story. He did provide a technique to help help others to manage their stories. And he did this example at Business Mastery 1, and he did it again in Business Mastery 2, and it was this example. He starts by asking, the crowd here thinks they're sexy. Does anybody on the phone tonight think they're sexy?
I'm too sexy.
Heck yeah, I'm sexy.
Yeah.
I'm too sexy for my...
They think they're sexy, and then he flirts with one of the participants, and both times it was a girl. But he doesn't really want to knock the legs of the belief of somebody that thinks they're sexy, so he doesn't go too far with them. But then he turns around and he asks, does anybody on the call tonight that think they're not sexy? Do we have anybody here who thinks they're not sexy? Anybody who's not sexy, raise your hand. And at first, only a few hands go up. He's very careful who he picks for this particular exercise, because this is the where he's going to do one of his turnarounds, one of his interventions. So, and I think there's people that go to these Tony Robbins events just for like significance, and they want to be the guy that trips up Tony. So if you're eager to raise your hand, he doesn't pick on you. He's looking for somebody that genuinely doesn't believe they're sexy, and somebody, I guess, whose facial expressions are, they've got the trepidation. They don't even want to really be raising their hand, and they are. And he picked on a woman, and he asked these questions to help turn somebody's story around. And the first question you ask is, you're trying to create doubt in this, in their foundation, in their limiting belief that has them thinking that they're not actually sexy. So he asked this universal question, which there's only one way to, for most of these universal questions, when you use the words like all or never, it's never, right? It's never all. And so is it possible, it would ask why you think you're not sexy, and they would say, well, I don't feel sexy, or I'm overweight. You're overweight, you have a big butt, right? He goes, is it possible that not everybody likes women with, skinny butts, and they look like scarecrows, and that, they look like nutritious? Is it possible? Is it possible that you don't have all the information? And, and this begins to create some doubt in the person's mind. And then, hey guys, is there anybody out there who likes a woman with a little meat, or, how did men like women in the 19th century at the turn of this? Creating all these questions just to create a little doubt. And then he asks, how do you feel knowing that you're not sexy? What does that make you feel like? And, you start saying, well, I don't feel good about myself. And what does it cause? It causes me to dress a certain way and not to react with people. And the pain of having this story, the pain of having this self-limiting belief. And third question is, what would it be like if it wasn't true? What would it be like if you were indeed if you do cherish woman, that the traits that you do? And then they begin to smile, then gets the crowd going, they're cheering, and inevitably at both business masteries, the woman at the end goes, Tony, I am sexy, and the whole place goes berserko, and he starts playing Queen, Fat Bottom Girls Make the Rock and Roll Go Round, and everybody's jumping up and down on top of each other, and we're all in a peak. So it's a technique you're encouraged to bring back to your office as you implement. Then the third thing, which is the strategies, which is what he spends most of the time on, that you use this to get your organization differently. Make sense so far?
Say that one again, John. I didn't hear that.
You use that technique I just outlined, the three questions to get the person to kind of destroy their self-limiting belief, or this,
Right.
Tony would call it,
To destroy the
new story, a more empowering story.
Okay.
Encourages you to bring this technique back with you to your organization, your companies, and use this as you're implementing the strategies that attempt to implement. Say, no, we can't do that, or oh, we've done that before and it doesn't work. The way to get them to change think it could be open-minded to these ideas and make them to become your own. Okay?
Yeah.
I'm going to just give you some cliff notes because I'm in a particular area, and if that's okay with Bert, maybe we could do that in the future. He had us during the 5 days there focusing on what he calls the 7 forces of business. And what he suggests when you get back is to meet with your team once a week for 90 minutes and work on each force every week. And then after this week, you start over and you go back to the first force. And plus was that we do this every 8 weeks, so you build a weekend of project management, you would call it Slack. So if something was to come up, you still have your fixed schedule. And I thought Force 1 was not one that you needed to do every week, and I thought Forces 7 were ones that you could do more than, you probably want to do more frequently in your organization than once every 7 or even 8 weeks. So the first force is to know where you really are and create an effective business map. And he spent about a half a day on this one. And when he says know where you're really at, he's talking about the life cycle of an industry, the life cycle of a company. For a company or for an industry, you have your infant, you have your toddler, you have your child, you have your teenager, you have your young adult, you have your aging, and then you're dead. And at different stages of you are in either an industry or a company, you have different problems. So if you're an infant and you have cash flow problems, that's a normal problem. But if you're, say, a young adult, you're at the point where you should be optimizing your processes and at peak profits, and you've got cash flow, normal problem. And an abnormal problem, you better solve because you're going to be out of business. To have a normal problem, then you should have that problem, and you work up yourself level of the cycle, provided you're still in the upswing. Once you go through where your industry's at and company's at, I don't see a need to continue to do that every 7 or 8 week. Adding and subtracting businesses, that just was my personal. The next is constant and strategic innovation. And having an engineering background myself, you think of innovation. I think of innovation. I think of a company like Apple, and of course they're a shining example of innovation. And when you think of their innovation, you think of the innovation of a particular product. But innovation doesn't have to be limited to product. It can be eliminated. It can also be applied to how you service your customer, how you communicate, how you market, how you distribute your product. So you don't necessarily need to confine innovation to the thing that you're offering. Do it for how you're offering it. And I think Bert gave an excellent example this morning when he talked about, I don't know, Jimmy Chan, was that his name? Chan, right? He was selling videos of himself doing sit-ups for the six-pack ab. He had some nutritional information. None of that is innovative products. How he got the leads and how he distributed the information that was innovative. Had him to go for $25 million. He didn't decide, well, I have these supplements. Let me go contact Walmart and see if I can sell them through Walmart. That wouldn't have been innovative. That's how everybody else tries to go, right? Mm-hmm. So you want to get with your team and get them to come up with some ideas. He was very big on getting your team involved and having not just yourself, but having your entire organization, or it could be subsets of your organization, depending on which force you're at, to work on the business instead of in the business. Number 3 is he uses the word Kenai, which stands for continuous and never-ending improvement. and force 3 is Kenai of world-class marketing and product promises. And he talked about different ways of going to market and how to get building your brand. And one thing we covered very strongly in the first day is your product or service that you're offering needs to have an X factor. And it's very similar to what I felt X factor he was talking about, to what Chet Holmes calls a core story or a stadium pitch. In fact, I think Chet Holmes covers it better than Tony does. But again, he doesn't do it with quite the fashion and flair that Tony does it. But a core story is you envision yourself in a stadium filled with 50 or 100,000 people, and you have 10 minutes. You got I think it's 5 minutes to pitch, right? And your goal is that no one will leave the stadium. So as soon as you start talking about your product, everybody's making a beeline for the door. So when you do a core story, you've got to come at them what value it is in what you're offering right from the beginning. Otherwise, you're going to lose, as I would put it, 97%. You're only going to keep the 3% that are actually interested in your product right now. And the rest, the 97%, either fall into some other, maybe they're thinking about it, maybe they think they don't even need it, maybe they haven't even thought about it, and maybe they definitely know they don't need it based upon the information they have now. So Chet was big on using marketing education to enlighten these people and what your product or service can do for them. It's really got to start off with what it can do for them before you even start using the word. I'm in the heating, cooling, plumbing, electric, business. If I use any one of those 4 words, everybody's clearing out of the stadium. I have to do something like, how do you improve your health, make your home safer, how you increase your how you can be more comfortable in your own home. I have to go in with that more than heating, cooling, plumbing, electric. I lose them immediately. Use a word like a furnace or a boiler or an air conditioner, everybody's running for the door. And so when you're developing your core story, you really got to, for Chet Holmes, you use educational marketing data, and then you follow it with how you're different than your competitor, how you bring more value than them. And if you don't have an answer to those questions, then you need to sit down and come up with something. And some of the examples he gave, they came right out of the Chet Holmes book. I was screaming like, "That's Chet Holmes' idea." I felt like he wasn't giving the guy any due, but whatever. And there was a restaurant owner there, and he was like, he couldn't think of it, and he gave the example right from the book. He told him, he goes, you find your core customers. Who are the people that would really enjoy the ambience of your restaurant and the food and this? Find those people and you invite them for free to your restaurant, and you get them to experience it. And then they come, and if you know anything about the laws of influence, you reciprocate like that, and you're going to have, and people will want to pay you. They'll want to keep coming back. Not everybody, but within build a business of loyal, raving fans by just getting them to come to your restaurant, for even if you have to give away the meal for. And so, in my industry, one of the things we want to do is offer a money-back guarantee. It's like, if you buy something from Nordstrom's and you don't like it, bring it back. They take it, no questions asked. Well, if we install an air conditioning system in your home, but before the year ends and you don't like it, we'll come and take it out and we'll give you all your money back. That's kind of reversing the risk. It's doing a risk reversal, or it's making another example, which is to make an outrageous thing like the free meal you could offer them, where there's no downside, there's no risk for them, and therefore they try your services, and that's how you can grow a business geometrically. It's how you can really have your sales take off, as opposed to just doing what everyone else is doing. If you do what everyone else is doing, you're just going to get marginal results. The fourth area of business force is called the Kenai of salesmen. continuous and never-ending improvement. And I think I probably just spoke a little bit about the sales process as well there. The fifth area is constant anticipation. It's talking about the power of financial and legal analysis. He really didn't touch too much on legal analysis, only that you would want to bring the team in and brainstorm. Is there any, it's about anticipation. Is what out there am I not thinking about, need to be thinking about? You know, all too often we're in our business, we're looking at our current competition, but who's the competitor that's going to come in? Who's the Netflix, what was the name of that company that went out of business? Blockbuster, right? Blockbuster didn't think that Netflix was their competition. They thought that other video rental stores were. In fact, they had an opportunity to buy Netflix. When the CEO, I think his name was Ron Johnson, he came from 7-Eleven. He was the CEO, and they brought him on board, and he wanted to maximize the Blockbusters to be the best brick and mortar store in the world. And that's where he came from. He came from brick and mortar, and he was great at optimizing brick and mortar. And within 8 years, the company went bankrupt to a company that wasn't brick and mortar because they weren't anticipating where the next threat was coming from. The sixth, and then also spent a day and a half again pitching his buddy Keith Cunningham's software. And Keith Cunningham, I don't know if anybody knows him. He's a very engaging and entertaining. He had us there for a day and a half listening to Keith Cunningham talking about accounting, and actually made it interesting. And people would say, "I love accounting. I love numbers." Listening to Keith, he was a great guy. What got me, the one aha moment from that was, so the first time I went to business, I said, okay, Keith Cunningham, he's talking about simply taking your financial statements and over time. It's not that complicated what he's pitching. He's got the software. I said, you know, yeah, that information is helpful, but okay. Then he gave an example of, he was out of his own software, and how he was running his car washes. Had these key performance indicators, and he had unique ones that really, if you did these, everything else would take care of yourself. And he had one, so he wasn't measuring, I mean, he was measuring revenue per day, but that wasn't the key performing indicator. That was, because some days it's going to be rainy and you're not going to have a lot of car sales, and some days it'll be the day after the rain where everybody's and you're going to have a lot of car wash sales, right? So what is it that his organization needs to be doing on a daily basis to optimize their performance? And his key performance indicator was the upsell of their salespeople. He had 4 salespeople. You know, you go to a car wash, they say, what do you want? And you say that, and they say, okay. That's been my experience. But if you go to one of Keith Cunningham's car washes in Arizona, sell. And he's got 4 professional salespeople on his staff at this particular car wash, and their key performance indicator is that each salesperson needs to be averaging $32 in additional sales above the base of $17. And if they're slipped below $32 on average per call per day, they get a call from Keith wanting to know what's going on. And so they become so reactive to this, they actually call in advance and let them know what they're doing to correct the situation. That's amazing. To have your sales focus tuned into what they need to be doing, selling on every single call. And as a result, his 4 salespeople, he said they all make 6-figure incomes. Can you imagine that? A car wash where the people that are taking your order are making 6-figure income? I was very impressed with that, and it's because what gets measured you get the results. What you think about and when you focus on, those are the results you get. So we've been able to train them.
The car business has been doing upsells since it started. They basically will give you the car at invoice just to get you in the back with the box in the F&A department. And in upsells on the internet, typically you have a 20% upsell. 20% of the people that buy the product will take your upsell. That means if you're processing 1,000 customers, you're going to get 200 more sales just from the upsell. So if your upsell is $1,000 or even $100, you can do the math. But yeah, upselling is a phenomenal thing. Mike Filzami, who was another car guy, actually brought that into the internet world. Because prior to that, Dan Kennedy was pitching what's called menu selling. The platinum package, the gold package, the silver package, that type of thing. And so Filzami said, screw that, let's just go and do upsells. So then you've heard of funnels, sales funnels. That's where that whole concept came from. But yes, great idea. Thank you. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I just never heard of it in car washing. I go get my car washed every time. Then they have the things, the signs there, and the guy puts the sign. He's not selling. He would get fired if he worked for this guy. Yeah. I thought that was phenomenal. The fact that they had it at a car wash.
Everything is high profit. The tire thing is just, some watered down Armor All, and it's all huge profits. You take, for example, a warranty on a car is like $350. We would sell it for $2,500. Gap insurance cost us $175. We sold it for $1,000. I mean, the profit margins are outrageous. We don't give a shit about giving away a car. The maximum markup on a car is 1% to 3%. On a $20,000 car, you're on a Corolla, you're lucky if you had $1,500 of markup from MSRP to invoice. So I can put you in the box with a good F&I guy, and we can walk out of there between reserve and product sales at $2,300, $2,400 in profit, giving away the car on the front end. So we would give, depending on how hot the car was and volume and all, bonuses and all that, we would give away the car just to try to make the money on the back. That's what the business became. That's what infomercials have become, by the way. Very few companies break even on the front end. When you call Beachbody on the phone, they're basically upselling you on the phone. In fact, all successful, any infomercial you see, call them and let them go through the process and then say no. And you watch, they're constantly trying to upsell you, 2, 3 upsells. It's one of the best tools in marketing today. But great point. Thank you, John. Keep going. I'm sorry.
Okay. I gotta go pick up my son.
Oh.
Constant optimization and maximization. So actually had us optimize and maximize our sales process. And if at every step of the process, from prospecting, from how you answer the phone, to how you set the appointments, to how you close, and then with the upsell, getting the referrals, then like 4% increase in each of them has a compounding effect on the overall creation of revenue. So with the improvements in each of the areas, and again, you get the improvements by getting the teams in and having them work on the process, use those questions. Is it true that we can't get enough? This is the best that we can do? Is it possible? How does it feel knowing that that's the most you can get? Is it possible? Maybe we could do better. You use those techniques. You get the teams to come up with the solutions. He was like, when you're in this process, you always pick on your high performers. Is 30% closing ratio the best you could do? Now you're talking to your superstar. And he goes, no, I do 50% all the time. Oh, wow. Let's model what he's doing. Everybody, let's copy what the superstar's doing. So with the compounding effect, make marginal improvements in every step of the process, you can have this compounding effect that drives you real significant growth. And you do all of those 6 things, and they're all about then item number 7. And number 7 is creating constant raving fans and a culture that of really taking care of your customer. And I just wanted to finish with this. He mentioned all great. He starts, and this is Keith Cunningham. He started talking about Jim Collins in his book Good to Great, and he felt that Jim overcomplicated it. And he said it's been his experience that all great companies, they do one of 3 things great, they do one of 3 things okay or average, and one of 3 things they ignore, and it doesn't affect their business. And he said the 3 things are, the 3 things are either you're the company, you lead in innovation, you lead in customer service, or you lead in brand. And he said brand is doing the right thing at the right time.
Please, whatever you want to.
So for innovation, of course, he picked Apple, and he goes, Apple is very innovative, right? And they have a good brand. They're able to do their manufacturing good. It's a quality product, but it's not great or phenomenal. It's the innovation that makes Apple. And as far as customer service goes, they don't pay attention to customer service. You can buy it from an Apple store. You buy it from anywhere else. Then he gave an example of McDonald's, and he said, who here thinks McDonald's makes the world's greatest hamburger? And you won't believe it, but nobody raised their hand. And he goes, here's a company with a crappy product, but they have a phenomenal brand, and they're recognized, and they do the same thing every way all the time. They lead with the brand. They're okay with customer service, and as far as innovation goes, they don't innovate. It's a hamburger. It's been a hamburger for 100 years. And then the third company he talked about was Nordstrom's, and Nordstrom's dominates with customer service. They're phenomenal with customer service. It's what they're known for. It's what they do best. And he said with them, their procedures, they ignored. I mean, they have so much margin built in that they'll take back stuff that they don't even sell to make their customers happy. That's not very efficient. Other companies would never do that, but that's what Nordstrom does. So it was kind of a revelation to me, because as a general manager of a company and soon to be business manager, you was thinking you have to do everything right. You got to focus on everything. You got to have the brand right. You got to have the customer service. You got to innovate. And that's not what makes great companies. Great companies really know where they want to dominate, where they're okay to be average, and where they don't even have to really pay attention. And they focus on the things that really drive their business. So I have a lot more notes, but that's all I got time for. It was a great experience. And I think the best thing I got from Business Mastery was I got like another set of outstanding friends. I consider you guys all my friends now, even though I never met any of you except for Toby. And now I have another set of outstanding friends who I actually got to meet with. So if you guys are ever in the New York, particularly the Hudson Valley, let's look each other up. There was just such an energy and a vibe that the whole week there in London, just by being around like-minded people on this journey together. We don't have to do it by ourselves. Okay?
Outstanding, John.
All right, thank you. I'm going to listen to the rest on my cell phone as I go pick up my son. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Outstanding.
Woo-hoo!
Thank you, John.
Thank you, John.
Woo!
Bye.
Thank you, John.
So, any thoughts, ideas? Okay. So, let me share with you some of the ideas that popped into my head. Risk reversal. When I first started selling exercise products, my competitors were basically selling on eBay with a 15-day, with a 30-day or a 15-day money-back guarantee. That's all you could do through eBay. I put in my copy a 90-day money-back guarantee. I've bought products from Best Buy. Has anybody ever bought from Best Buy?
Yeah.
What's their refund policy?
Yeah.
14 days with the receipt in the box, unopened, if it's software. So when I buy something from Best Buy, I immediately that day open it, try it out, and make sure it's exactly what I want, or I'm going right back that same day. When I buy something at Costco or Walmart, I don't care. Walmart will take stuff from 2 years from now without the receipt. They have a great policy. But one of the differences, and I haven't talked about this, but one of the differences I did is when I started selling the product online is I offered a 1-year money-back guarantee. Because here's what happens. People forget and people get lazy. And so if you have a 1-year money-back guarantee, you're like, oh, I don't have to worry about it. I'll just try it out. And if it doesn't work, I got a year. And guess what happens? A year later, they forget about it. And my refund rate was less than 3%, which is outstanding. When I took one of the best courses that I've taken from Tony is a course called Influence Mastery. Back then it was called Mastery Influence. And Tony didn't call it salesmanship and he didn't call it persuasion. He called it influencing. And he said in the course that the most important skill that you can develop is your ability to influence other people. because the people that can influence others make the most money. And in this course, he talked extensively about Pepsi-Cola and about how much money they paid Michael Jackson. Now, Michael Jackson, when he did that famous commercial that set his hair on fire, he was on fire, literally. Pepsi-Cola paid him a small fortune. I don't remember the exact dollar amount. And here's the thing. Michael Jackson doesn't drink or didn't drink Pepsi-Cola, but they didn't care. All they did is they had him sing Billie Jean in front of a huge lit up sign that said Pepsi-Cola. And so people began to link up Michael Jackson, music, emotion, Pepsi-Cola. Michael Jackson, music, emotion, Pepsi-Cola. That's all they cared about. You take a look at Coca-Cola. There's so much negative news now. People show you that a bottle of Pepsi is like 50 billion cups of sugar, and it's this and that, and saccharin is no good for you. And they give you all these things why you shouldn't drink it. Does Coca-Cola start talking about that in their commercials? Nope. They don't focus on the negatives. They keep promoting the product, and people continue buying it. In the car business, we ended up switching to a system called menu selling. And prior to that, we would do, if you remember how McDonald's and Burger King used to sell, you'd buy the hamburger, and the girl would say to you, would you like a soft drink with that? And you'd say yes or no. And then she'd say, would you like fries with that? And you'd say yes or no. And then she'd say, would you like an apple pie with that? Yes or no. And it took too much time. And the percentage of people taking the upsell was very small. So they introduced a concept called menu selling. And so you would buy number one, which was the cheeseburger with fries and a Coke. And then all the girl had to do is ask you, would you like to supersize that? They don't do that anymore because of the lawsuit. Well, recently I don't go to McDonald's, but I go to Dunkin' Donuts. And Dunkin' Donuts used to have that if you bought the turkey sausage with egg in the wrap with a coffee, it had one price. And now they got rid of all the menu items. I'm still with this cough. And so I asked them, why'd they get rid of the menu? Now every item is individually priced. And they said it's a corporate decision. Now, McDonald's hasn't switched. I walked in there the other day just to take a look. My buddy loves to eat Popeyes. They have a menu. But Dunkin' Donuts got rid of the menu. I'd be interested to find out whether their sales has dropped as a result of not doing a packaging scenario. One company that epitomizes for me, well, before I go into that, I put in the chat group the name of a gentleman that when I went to Business Mastery, spoke, and his name is Jay Abrahams. And Jay is one of the guys who started innovating companies by telling them that when he would buy a company or go into examine a company, the first thing he would ask is, where is the list of all your customers? And back then, most companies did not keep a list of their customers. And so what he would do is he would spend time gathering that information and creating the customer list. Because he said the prospect list is not your customer list. Your customer list is people that have voted for you by taking out their wallet and spending money because they like and trust you. So those people are the ones that you need to cultivate because they'll make you more money. And you should put more money into cultivating your existing customers and upselling them other products than you should be spending money on new prospects. Because prior to that, everybody was spending money capturing a new customer and ignoring the existing customer. And so he was able to turn around a lot of companies just using that simple strategy. That was one of the strategies that I used in the car business. I would go into the service department and I would capture every single name from the service department. And instead of mailing to just doing a saturation mailing, I would target the mailing to existing service customers. Service customers are a combination of a dealership's own customers that bought the car from them, but people move. And some people live closer to the dealership where, at work than the one that they bought the car at. So we would pick up people that came in for oil changes, for their 15,000 mile checkup. And so we were picking up customers. So I made sure that the service departments would offer a drop dead bottom line price on our oil changes just to capture the names of people who owned cars that were Toyotas, Camrys, Hondas, Hyundais, et cetera, et cetera. Because I said to the owner, he says, we're not making money at $29.95 for an oil change. I said, I will pay the service manager and the service writer a commission just so I can make that a loss leader. I'll make sure that they don't get hurt in their pocket, because that's who was beefing. You know, they were greedy. They wanted, oh, we're giving away oil changes that we charge $100 for. Yeah, like who's going to pay? With a Jiffy Lube down the road, you're going to get $100 for an oil change, right? Yeah. What era were they in? So what happened? Within 90 days, we picked up over 500 new customer names and addresses. And we began marketing to those people by the means of direct mail. We used automated dialers to reach out to them, to tell them that their trade was worth money, to bring it in early. Some people were on leases. We had them come in and trade in their leases early and got them out of cars. And I calculated and I showed the owner at the end of the 90 days that my little idea of losing $30, $40 on every oil change produced for him over $50,000 in profit. And that was just starting. And so that was strictly due to Jay Abraham's idea. I took it one step further. I reasoned that if my customer is worth money, then somebody else's customer is also worth money. And if they're doing a shitty job servicing their customer, let me take that job over. And so look for ways not only to service your customer better, but to steal other people's customers if you sell a product similar to others. So let's take a look now at a couple of things here. I want to share my screen. And let's see. Can you guys see my screen yet?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You see the YouTube, right? Okay. So you see this ad here, how men over 40 get six-pack abs, right? This is now where, remember that I was telling you about that fella about the six-pack abs? Okay, he's running ads here. Now, let's take a look at this ads. This is his channel. Okay, can everybody see this? His Extreme Six-Pack Abs Workout, old school version, has 20,881,379 views. Underneath that, he has his 5-minute belly fat destroyer, 18,283,040 views. Now, I would say that based on that view count, he's making some serious money. Now, here's what his channel looks like. And one of the products, when you click on this ad, it takes you to his channel. And what he did is he hired probably or partnered up with this guy who is basically an older guy with who's in great shape. And, you know, basically they're showing him working out. And now he's focusing on this market. Not the young guys anymore, but the guys in their 40s who want to, you know, get in shape. So look at his subscriptions. He's got 4 million people subscribed to his channel. Does anybody know what happens when somebody subscribes to your YouTube channel? Nobody? Every time that you submit a new video, automatically YouTube sends out an email. Do you think that an email from YouTube would essentially get through the spam filters? Yeah. Okay. So I want you to take a look at this, and I want you to, you know, look at his channel is called Six Pack Shortcuts. This video has 15 million views. This video has 12 million views. This video has 10 million views. This video has 9 million views, 8 million views, 6 million views, 6 million views, 6 million views, 6 million views. Do you understand the power of all that? And here's his offer. This is where the redirect takes you. Here's what he's selling. So he's selling a video.
I am Clark.
Okay, and then he wants you to enter your information here. Now he's changed it. So he's now capturing information, and he's bold enough to ask you for your phone number, which really drops the your conversion rate for that stuff. But he has, this is all on his website. And let's see if we click here to see if we qualify. So then he takes you to this page where he's looking to capture your information again. Everybody see this? Now let's take a look at somebody else's channel. Here's Kimra. Can everybody see this ad right here? This banner?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I was talking about. So what somebody did, and this is badly targeted, but if I was watching this video, which is Kimra Luna talking about herself, she had this professionally done, I would be showing something differently. But I can look at her channel by just clicking on her name. I can take a look at her videos, take a look at what's most popular. And although she's doing a good job, she's not nowhere near Shortcut Guy. Her most views is 12,537 views. But what people are doing, like Russell Brunson, Ryan Dice, is they're all grabbing her traffic by putting banners in here. Now, one thing that Marlon Sanders talked about is her use of color. She's doing a great job with her use of color, as you saw before. So why do I share this with you? Mr. Shortcuts is promoting it heavily on YouTube, and that's why he's got such huge numbers. I mean, if you take a conversion rate of 1% on 12 million views, that's 120,000 sales. If he's making $100 profit, you can do the math yourself. And all those videos were up there. Now, what happens? When people see videos, they start to also share them and like them and do all those things. So let me now share with you something. Oops, okay, I don't want to do that. Okay. Let me share with you something that may show you something similar. Just bear with me for a second. Okay. Okay, can everybody see this?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is my ad that I'm running. Okay, and I've been using it to drive traffic to the Facebook page and to the like page. So this ad has cost me $86. Total spend on this ad is about $200, $223. 111,000 people have seen this ad. 3,244 people have actually engaged with the ad. Let's take a look at the second one. This is the second one. So what is it costing me to run this ad? 7 cents per result. Okay, it's getting a 2.34% result rate. It was doing much better. It's dropped a lot, so I have to take a look at that. But what's happened as a result of this is that the Facebook group has added over 2,000 people to the group, and my like page is at about 3,600 people now from original, and it's only 2 weeks old, just barely 2 weeks old, and I didn't even monetize it. Now this is what currently that ad that I just showed you. That's how many people it has reached, 113,994 people. 3,000 likes, 122 comments. Only one person shared it, which really sucks. But so it's getting engagement. People are engaged with the ad, and that's really all we can ask for. So how can you use that in your business? There's a lot of ways you can use that in your business. A lot of ways you can make money here. And one of the things, the reason I showed you that banner ad is because Ryan Dice, and Ryan Dice is a guy that's been making, like, he has a seminar called Traffic Conversion Secrets. And Ryan is a true marketer. He's not just selling products in the internet marketing arena. He actually has websites that sell physical products and digital products. So the guy really knows what he's talking about. He's not a bullshit internet make money at home type marketer. So I really respect him a great deal. And so he was the first one to realize that he could piggyback on Kimra's ads. And since he owns Traffic Conversion Secrets and a bunch of products, he piggybacked on her ads. And that little banner, you ever notice that when you see a YouTube video on Facebook, that it doesn't go back to YouTube? Like if I have a video on my website, it'll play on my website, but you can click it and automatically, if you click on the YouTube symbol, it'll send you back to YouTube. Well, for some reason, Facebook has figured out how to disable that feature, and they're not getting sued by YouTube because that's really against YouTube's terms of service, their TOS. And so when somebody is watching the video on Facebook, that little ad comes up, and you're only paying a penny or 2 pennies. So if you drive that traffic to a squeeze page, you're paying, typically in the internet world, you're paying between $1 to $2 for an email, to capture an email. With that kind of a cost factor, you're probably spending no more than probably at 25 cents for an email. When I first started in internet marketing in 2003, the average email was costing me between 10 to 15 cents. My email list is over 100,000 people, with 20,000 of them being customers. Okay? And I didn't get in early on capturing emails. I was driving cold traffic because pay-per-clicks were 4 cents, 3 cents, kind of what I showed you with Facebook. So Facebook, if you understand how to use Facebook properly and the incredible demographics that they give you. I mean, I have taken my email list of almost 100,000 people, and I have imported that and created a custom list. And so now the people on Facebook, if the email address that they use to register on my squeeze page is the same email that they use for Facebook, I can grab their name and advertise directly to them. Facebook has another feature called lookalike list. So I can take my existing customer list and I can import it into a custom list on Facebook, and Facebook will find me people that fit the same demographics. And so I can create a lookalike buyers list. And then again, what do? I market to them. I can put a retargeting pixel on my website so that if I drive somebody from Facebook to my website, and they don't even have to go to my website, I can just put some JavaScripting into the HTML and trick Facebook into thinking that they actually visited my website. There's tons of ways around everything. But now if they go back to Facebook, yes.
What was that called where you can find like-kind people that signed up?
You do it in Google, and you have to do it in Facebook Editor. Okay, all this has to be done with Editor, and you can only access Editor if you're using the Chrome browser. You can't do it on Internet Explorer or on Microsoft Firefox. Firefox. It only works with Chrome for whatever reason, and it's okay. Chrome is no big deal. It's free. It's fast, but you want to be creating all your posts on a like page. And if you don't have a like page, you want to create one. And you can make, like right now I never bought my website because I never believed in branding myself. Everything I did was around using pen names so that nobody could reverse engineer me. In the internet world, see, I've already spent like a day and a half reverse engineering this girl, Kimra. And I reached out to one of my buddies and I actually got her course. And her course is really beyond newbie. It's like she's showing you how to use PicMonkey on how to create an image. And she's charging $2,000 for that. But okay, hey, listen, she did a great job of building, more power to her. She did a great job of marketing, but she's selling it for $2,000. And to me, it's not worth that. But if people are willing to pay it, hey, I'll create my own and charge more. If she can make $1 million, then with what I've learned in the last 15 years, I can definitely make $2 million or more. And I'm just seeing it as a giant opportunity. And between what that shortcut, six-pack shortcuts is doing on YouTube and Facebook advertising, it's very easily to build a huge mailing list. And you can drive that traffic to your own product And then if they don't buy your product, you can use it to drive them to an affiliate product. And all an affiliate means is that you're sending traffic somewhere and they're going to pay you a commission. You can set up an affiliate account with Amazon, excuse me, Commission Junction. I mean, I've been a Beachbody affiliate for almost 8 years. The only thing is, as an affiliate, they only pay you 10%. So it's crappy.
Do you have to have different websites per affiliate?
No, absolutely not. You can put Google AdSense on your website. You can put it on any website you want. You just have to adhere to the terms of service. You have to read the terms of service so that you don't get dropped because they're clicking. You have to be careful with some websites if you're generating traffic from Canada. Canada has some real strict laws regarding minors and cookies and what you show on your site. So you just have to do a little bit of research and just CYA. I mean, it's nothing really bad. The FBI is not going to come knocking on your door. Worst that happens is they just shut down your account, and trust me, that's not the end of the world. If you've got $300 and you know where LegalZoom is, you're back in business in a day. Just create a new corp LLC, close down the other one, get an American Express card, and get in business. So, I mean, I'm not recommending that, but if you should end up in that arena, that's what you do. And the same thing is true with Facebook. A little tougher with Facebook because Facebook wants a lot of your information, so it's tough to set up a new profile page. But if you have an American Express corporate card, you can create a corporate card with any name you want on it. You can call yourself Twinkle Toes, and since everything gets built to the corporate card, they don't care what name you put on the corporate card, and then you can set up a profile.
I like Twinkle Toes.
Yeah, you can set up a profile page under the names of Twinkle Toes, and the corporate address would be the address. And of course, there's, I mean, you know, one of the things that I learned long ago is that I don't let stuff stop me. Okay, I focus on the solution and never the problem. I remember once one guy in a forum said everybody here who just had their Google AdWords account suspended is busy sitting here bitching and moaning about it instead of figuring out a solution. And he said, my AdWords account, because everybody got their AdWords account slapped because Google AdWords didn't want you making any weight loss claims or making any claims about income. And if you had something on your website, they didn't go like, hey, take it down. They just suspended you. And they did it in bulk. And I got slapped with that because I was promoting a weight loss channel. And so they didn't want weight loss claims. And it wasn't an extravagant weight loss claim. It was within the guidelines of the FDA. 1 to 2 pounds per week. So it said, lose between 10 to 20 pounds in 90 days. That's not absurd, but they didn't care. It's Google's world. They have the rules and play with what they have. So the other thing I wanted to go over with you is, let me see. Hold on a second. So this is Jay Abrahams, and I recommend, he has a book, and I'll dig up my copy, but I recommend that you, what the hell? Are you okay, whoever that was? Okay. So this is This is Jay Abrams. He's been endorsed by Tony. He has some really high-end coaching guys. As you can see here, everybody kisses his butt, and the guy deserves it. Tony promoted him, Damon John, Brian Tracy, Stephen Covey, Harvey McKay. Everybody kissed his butt, and he is his stuff is, he's not repackaging crap. I was having a conversation with somebody, and they said, they were looking at somebody and all they were doing was repackaging stuff that was written in books in the 1900s. And I said, I see that all the time. I said, they just repackage it into their own crap and they resell it. Jay Abrams does not repackage. He really knows his business. So he has some great books. If you haven't read, there's another book, Persuasion, which teaches you the hidden persuaders. It's called the five hidden persuaders that compel people to buy. You might as well start learning, because whatever occupation you're in, knowing how to influence people is the master skill. And so I attended a 3-day seminar called Mastery Influence. And back then, it was basically videos of Tony and sitting in a classroom with a big binder and a couple of cassette tapes and crap like that. or CDs, I forget which. And at the end of the day, the most important takeaway was that Tony had identified the one most important skill that successful salespeople have. And I wrote it down, and I had it, and I did it as an affirmation back then to remind myself of what the most important thing that the number one salespeople in the world, the 1%, the guys that, not the guys that were making 100,000, the guys that were making at least $1 million in personal income in some form of sales. Some of them were selling jets, helicopters, life insurance, real estate, all kinds of different things. These guys were the top earners. And this is back in 2000 and, the year was 2000. So this was in 2000. And the number one thing that Tony said is that successful people, successful salespeople, successful people in general are willing to do whatever it takes to succeed. And the acronym was WITS, W-E-I-T-S, whatever it takes. And that's what you have to remember. For you to achieve your goal, you have to be willing to look at ideas, and John presented a lot of them, some really good ones, and I want to try to get him back to do another call like this because things change. I took Business Mastery a long time ago, and I got a couple of takeaways from it, which I applied in the automotive industry, because the automotive industry didn't really do bonuses. You know, we were good at certain things. We're good at doing upsells. We're really good at pissing off customers. I mean, we excel at that. So what did we do to stop that? We actually paid somebody a salary to be our customers. We called it concierge service. And we had a customer support manager for each of the two dealerships. And before the customer left, he would do an exit interview with the customer. And if the customers were upset because they had waited too long, he would send them an American Express card the next day in the mail for $50 so that they could go have dinner on us. We did all kinds of things. Some people would send like a box of cookies or chocolate, but we found that giving them an Amex card with $50 on it, so they couldn't have a great dinner, they could have an okay dinner. You know, we told them, I says it's not going to be McDonald's, but it's not going to be
You could pay the tip on a great dinner.
Yeah, it's not going to be. You're not going to be going to J. George. You're not going to go to the Trump Tower and have dinner there. Where the entrees are $50 a pop. But it's a start, and they loved it. They would be, oh, that's great. And then if we had to, we'd throw in like their first service. And this is before everybody started giving away oil changes. But the key was that you don't wait for the problem to happen. You get in front of the problem. And that's what I preach to all the dealerships and all the GMs, is get in front of the problem. Your job as a general manager of this dealership, I would tell them, is not to sit in your ass on the desk and then bitch and moan at your general sales manager and the salespeople. Your job is to make sure that customer leaves here after they've been through the negotiation process and the upsell process and all the other crap that we did to them, and go and put your face in front of it. And you need to be and if there's a problem, you need to get the liaison manager, the concierge, in front of them so that he could do it. And you can't, and what I did is, because they would bitch and moan because it would come out of they didn't want it coming out of their bottom line. Again, greed, right? They didn't want it affecting their total profit structure. So, for a while there, I told them, don't worry about it. If you bring your numbers down, your customer support numbers go up and your complaints go down, I won't penalize you. But if you are not involved, then I'm taking it right from your pocket, dollar for dollar. So if I give that customer a $50 American Express card, or I got to give them 2 to make them happy so I get a good survey and good feedback, you're paying for it, not me. I found that the most effective way to motivate people is to hit them right in their pocket. They get pissed, but they learn real fast. So I just want to share that with you. So what I want to do is I don't want to be just the only guy sharing ideas. I'd like all of you to really look at some of the things I'm saying, write down what comes to your mind, and think about how you can apply it. Maybe you can't apply it in your business, but you get an idea of how somebody else could apply it. I spoke today to some real estate people because I'm finding that real estate people are doing very well in this market. And this is the second, I signed up another real estate person, And when I told them that the mastermind group is now $995 a year, I have had 3 people now tell me, a month? And they go, I say, no. And they go, oh, Bert, aren't you now really pissed off that you didn't say yes? I said, unfortunately, I know number 5, and I can't do that. I can't do that. I have to stay in integrity with myself. So, 5, I know that no wealth or positioning along door. I mean, I'm thinking of taking that out of my statement and just doing up to number 4 so that I can say, okay, yeah, $995 a month, done. But anyway, just a joke. So the point is that you have to look at other ideas. So I talk to real estate agents, and I have some people that are into wholesale or discount real estate. And I said, well, you can look on YouTube and have that banner. You got a YouTube video about real estate in Anchorage, Alaska, or YouTube video about something. You can geolocate that stuff so that only the people in your target market will see the pop-up banner. And if you're paying 3 or 4 cents and you're driving them to a lead capture page, what do you care? You hire a telemarketer. You really qualify the lead by asking them to enter their name, address, phone number. So you got a real hard lead, okay? You know the difference between a soft lead and a hard lead, right? A soft lead would be just ask them for their email. A hard lead is asking them for their phone number. And then you hire a telemarketer for $10, $15 an hour and make them follow up on the leads and plow through the crap to get to the few that you can do listings on. Look, I have a real estate agent that's selling $1 million and $2 million homes. At 3%, $1 million home is a $30,000 commission. Would you spend 5 cents to drive traffic to a squeeze page? It might cost you $20 to get a lead. But at $30,000 commission, you have a lot of room to, absorb. And if you're selling $2 million homes, it's $60 million. And that's because they're a broker. And then if their buyer's agent sells the property, they pick up another 1.5. If it's their buyer agency selling it through them. If somebody else, but the net is they're going to get no less than 3%, because most of these are still 6% listings. I mean, I'm not a real estate maven by any means or imagination, but I know enough about real estate to, work my way around a room. So where else can you use it? Brent, you're in the travel business. There's tons of videos of people pitching travel.
Oh yeah.
Tons. You can use Facebook for demographics. I'm going to put together a course, and I'm going to basically duplicate what Kimra did, but more extensive. I mean, I've got buddies that are really wizards at this stuff, and I'm going to see if I can get them to come on board with me on this because they really know. Media buys is like the specialty of one of my buddies, and he's buying ads on USA Today, Wall Street Journal, New York Times. He's on the front page of Yahoo, Bing. I mean, he's buying, he's investing millions of dollars a year. And what he does is now, because he was doing it, his name is Mike Geary, and he was doing it strictly for his own product. Mike is now doing over $40 million a year selling ebooks. And now he doesn't even care about the ebook sales because people are hiring him as their media manager. And what he's doing is, he's not just selling them his services, he's asking them for the piece of the sales. So he says, I will run your campaign, but I want a piece of the actual sale. So he's not just working for the front end profit, he's working for the back end. So if I optimize because he does a lot of work, he does the optimization, he targets the keywords, the placement. I mean, it's pretty extensive. We don't need to go that deep, but you can definitely use media buys to drive traffic, and you're paying very inexpensive. You're paying per impression, but it's not going to work out to be anywhere near what you're paying for Google AdWords or for Bing for pay-per-click. And there's a science to it because, Facebook is a science. When somebody's searching on Google and they type in, cruise to the Bahamas, you know that they're interested in a cruise for the Bahamas. If somebody's on social media, it shows up in their feed. They're not looking for cruises in the Bahamas. So you have to have, the key to social media is to either use a very colorful image or to use video. Video is really the key to engagement. And you have to remember, people on social media are there to interact with other people. So there's certain things they like more than others. And I'm going to leave it at that. I'm not going to give you all the secrets tonight, but I'm going to give you enough to get your brain working, okay? Because I want to see those little wheels cranking. so that you start saying, $1 million in 8 months from a simple girl who was on welfare, who has 3 kids, and her husband was a loader for FedEx. She never went to college. What did she do? She dyed her hair blue, and she was doing some kind of marketing before, and she's not really the best marketer in the world, but it doesn't matter. She sold her personality and making money, and she's not the only one. I'm just using her because that's who I'm investing my time researching right now. But there's tons of people like that. Like when I did the girl from Passion Planner, her third launch was just under $1 million. The girl has done close to $10 million launching some friggin' appointment book. I mean, it just goes to show you, like John said, of all the products, it doesn't really matter. It's like Steve Jobs says, don't try to be better than your competition, be different. What did she do that was differently? She included a page so you could do a mind map in your planner. I mean, really, you could have taken a blank 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, draw your mind map in it, and slid it inside the planner. And yet, they bought that. It's all how it's not the idea. It's how you package it, right? So I hope you guys got some ideas from today. I hope that you can see the potential of YouTube. And just to show you the potential one more time, I want you to look at the number of views that this cat has on his YouTube channel. Okay, this is ridiculous. Ridiculous numbers. I mean, when I saw them, I was like, holy crap. This is like absurd. 20 million views, 18 million views. I mean, if you add this up, he's probably got well over 1 billion views. Do the math. Take 1 billion, multiply it times 1%, and how many sales will he make? Because it's all a numbers game. I mean, 10% of 1 billion is 100 million, right? So 1% of 1 billion is, no, is it? Well, okay. So 10% of 1 billion is 100 million. 1% of 1 billion is 10 million. So 10 million, and let's say he's making $100. That's that's almost more than 100 million. Anyway, it's a lot of money. When it gets into that many zeros, my mind works out. I can do math at the lower end real easy. When we get into the billions, and I got to just retrain myself. But how can you get a chunk of that market? How can you get a chunk of that market? He was not the only one in the six-pack abs market. Mike Geary dominated that market way before he did. So what did he find? He found a hole where he could get traffic. And initially, what were his videos? He had a buddy holding a camera while he worked out at the gym. That's what he did. Now the videos are better quality because now you can afford it. But in the beginning, it was, what we call in the business ugly videos. Sometimes ugly sells better because people identify with it. They don't see it as a slick presentation. They don't see it as somebody who's a salesperson. They just look at, ooh, it's a guy. Look at the shape he's in. Wow, he's doing that, and he works out at the gym. And, it's a crappy video. It's like a video that you see on Facebook. Quality sometimes hurts you. So anyway, any ideas, anything you guys want to share before we sign off? Nobody? All right.
I have a lot to learn. Obi-Wan Kenobi. I have a lot to learn.
I can just I can share that some of my crappiest YouTube videos have the most hits of all my videos.
Yeah. I mean, it puzzles me. I always thought, hey, the better quality, they're going to, but it's just weird. People look, I met the #1 salesman in Prudential. They brought this guy out. They said, Basil Biacamano was the #1 salesman in Prudential. And I was still an agent. He did over $20 million in sales. Guy made almost $500,000. And I'm expecting this, sharply dressed, good looking guy, kind of like me, walking out there, with the Rolex watch, right? I'm expecting the Rolex watch. I'm expecting, the shark skin suit, the Italian shoes. I'm expecting this guy to be wearing at least $1,000 suit. This guy walks in with a jacket and a jacket and a black pair of pants, His shirt's not completely tucked in. His button, he's too fat to button his top button, so he has it open and his tie's just about here, right? And the guy gets up there and he goes, listen, I really don't have much to tell you. What I do is I send out direct mail, I call up the people, and I work 7 days a week. And that was the secret that we were all waiting for, because we were all waiting for the magic pill and the shiny new object. And all he was doing was what we were doing, except when he walked into the house, he looked like he was there to clean it, as opposed to us who were with the Mont Blanc pen or the Cross pen. He was using a Bic. And he even had a stain because it had leaked on his shirt. I mean, I swear to God, I personally, as a sales manager, would have never hired him. I would have said, you got to be kidding me, dude. Get a new shirt. But it goes to show you, just like the ugly video, the ugly fat guy with the stained shirt was outselling me. I still didn't put on an ugly shirt. And I didn't care. Anyway. So thank you, everybody, and I'll see you on tomorrow's call. You have a great night now.
Thanks, Bert. You too.
Thanks, Bert.
Thank you, Bert. Thanks, Bert.
I hope I stimulated your minds.
Thank you, Bert.
Thank you. Good night.
And I'm not going to sleep tonight.
Oh, you can't sleep again? You better work on that relationship statement. Either that or you better get yourself
Thanks.
a buddy.
Thank you, Bert. Bye. Bye for now.
Bye, everybody.